to another episode of the Battle Inside podcast. My name is Chris America, and it is July the 9th, which is a Tuesday. Tuesday, July 9th, 2019. And this is episode 17, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's episode 17. I always lose count before I start a show. Uh, um, so, good news, bad news is I don't have much of an update, so I guess that's good news. As opposed to the last few weeks, which have just been a crazy, insane amount of hell. As you guys know, if you've been listening, if this is your first episode, you can always go back, and I would start with episode 12 if you want to know what's going on recently. And then you can listen to episode 14 to see what the response was to episode 12 and go from there. My life has been... I feel like I'm just being over dramatic now at this point. But I know when people listen, it at least makes me feel better that I'm not feeling too crazy, that other people are like, wow, man, I can't believe all this happened to you in the last 3 months. I went to a divorce support group last night, found it on Meetup. I wasn't looking for it. It just kind of popped up, one of those things, and I was like, well, everything for a reason, right? So I went and just trying to, again, explain everything that's gone on the last 3 months in my life. It's crazy. It's crazy to think that 3 months ago to today, I started with my first episode. I think it was the 9th. I think I recorded it the 9th and dropped it on the 10th, or recorded it on the 10th and dropped it on the 11th. I'm not sure, but episode 1, you can go back to that if you haven't listened to it. I was in a dark place. It's just crazy to think that this is where my life is. And for the most part, the last week since you last heard of me talking, I feel like I've been getting better. Now I'm just super cautious about feeling like I've turned a corner. Because the last few times I felt like I turned a corner, I let my guard down, I guess, so to speak. And, I was hit with one thing after another. And like I said, it's just, I don't know how to wrap my mind around it still. Everything that's gone on the last 3 months. And now I feel like I'm a broken record with it. I kind of think about it like this. My 2 episodes that have the most, by far, listens is I was in a dark place where I talked about being suicidal, and this is my mental loop when I told everybody about Jen and Juan and everything that went on with that. And I kind of liken it like this. I live in Central Florida, and I've been through several hurricanes, right? That's what you do when you live in Florida is you go through hurricanes. And when the hurricane is happening, when the storm is here and it's entertaining, sad to say, but it's entertaining for the rest of the country, you guys tune in. You guys pay attention to Orlando. You guys watch the Weather Channel, the CNNs, the ABC News, and you watch the guy or the girl out in the storm, and it's crazy. It's great to watch. I'm not going to lie. Even I enjoy watching it while I'm going through it. Because if I could be outside and watch all the crazy wind, I would, but it's not safe. But we as a society, we watch the hurricane, and we watch the mess, and we watch the damage, and then we like to see a little bit of the aftermath. We spend about a day, maybe 2 days, seeing all the broken down tree limbs and trees and cracked roofs and flooding and all this other stuff. And then the news leaves. And the news leaves because we lose interest. And I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just the thing. I do it when there's fires in California or floods on the Mississippi Delta or tornadoes in the tornado alleyway of Kansas and Oklahoma and stuff. It's just kind of what we do. And I feel like that's what's going on with this show, because I've never lived through the fires or tornadoes or earthquakes or floods like that, but I've lived through hurricanes, and I know what the aftermath is like and what you have to do to deal with it. Even something as simple as your power being out for a couple of weeks in the hot, humid summers of Florida is miserable. And the news doesn't stick around for that. And it looks like, I feel like now I'm kind of in that boring rebuilding process that my self-doubt makes me feel like nobody cares about. Like the news crews left, you could see the numbers dropped, and now they're still really good. They're still really healthy, and I appreciate all of the listeners. Don't think I'm saying that, but it's just crazy to me that so many people came for the hurricane and watched it, and that so many other people just kind of left for the once the rebuild and the misery, the boring misery of it, the rebuild of being that family without a roof or being that family with a tree through the house, and now you're stuck messing with all of the ordeals of getting the insurance company to come through and getting the contractors out and calling a tree guy who's got 5,000 other houses that they need to service to get their trees off of those roofs, and just the power companies and how long they take to turn the power company on, and all of that boring but necessary, strenuous, stressful process. Because, like, honestly, throughout the hurricanes that I've been through, the hurricane part's the easiest part. It sounds weird, but it is. That's the easiest part. Like, it's just raining. There's lots of wind. I've been fortunate enough to never have a tree come through a house that I was in or anything. Like, the worst I've had is, like, loss of power, and a couple of trees fell on, like, a car of mine. Or, no, they fell on the neighbor's car. So I was lucky, I think. But it's still miserable when the power goes out, like I said, and you have to go 2 weeks without electricity in the hot Florida sun, and there's not many places that you can stay, that kind of thing. So the hurricane part is fine. It's actually kind of fun. Here in Florida, we make a joke about it, that we have hurricane parties, and we get drunk, and, we hang out. It's a hurricane. Most of us don't go through a huge tragedy where we end up completely devastated. Now, obviously, that's not to say that doesn't happen. It happens a lot to a lot of people, and I'm not trying to downplay the seriousness of a hurricane. I'm just trying to get you in the mindset of what the culture is here like in Central Florida when it comes. We try to keep lighthearted and joking about it in a way, even though we do take it seriously. But that's the easy part for the most part. Even for the houses that get decimated, yes, it's scary to have the tornado warnings. It's scary to hear the wind and everything else. But then once it's gone and it's passed, now you're left with the cleanup. And that's where I'm at right now, at least hopefully. It feels like right now, these last 3 months, it felt like the 2004 hurricane season for us Central Floridians, where it was just one hurricane after another hurricane after another hurricane, to where you feel like, okay, the power's back on and the roofers are coming out next week and they're going to fix the roof and the tree limbs are finally cleared up, and here comes another hurricane. And that's what these last 3 months have been like. And people show up for the hurricanes, and then they kind of just slowly disappear through the aftermath. But for those, the many of those, I'm sorry I got off on that rant and that tangent. I really, 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 really appreciate you listening to all of the episodes, or the majority of the episodes, and that you're still here. It really does mean a lot to me. I've been working on focusing on you guys and not the people who have lost interest or haven't reached out or whatever. But yeah, I appreciate it. So, I finally responded to the divorce papers. Just sent my response in. I was looking over them again today, right after my EMDR, which kind of sucks. Probably should have done it before, but I had so many episode ideas and things I wanted to talk about today, and it's just, I feel like it's all conjumbled. I wanted to have an episode talking about the battle of moving on and how hard it is for me to move on, and why this one is particularly hard for me to move on, harder than the others. I just read over the divorce papers, and it just sucks. And this is an action for dissolution of the bonds of marriage between the parties in the above-styled cause, specifically petitioner Jen, hereinafter called wife, and respondent Christopher, hereinafter called husband. Um, you know, the parties were duly married to each other on January 9th, 2019 in Seminole County, Florida. I just read that and like how do I get here twice in my life? You know, like if you've listened to my previous episodes, you know that my first marriage, I was young and dumb, in the Coast Guard, met a girl in the Coast Guard, got married to her, didn't last long, divorced within 6 months, less than 6 months, like 5 months. Got married in August, we were divorced by January. Here I am again, married in January, going through the motions of divorce by July. Like, how does this happen to me? I just, I battle with acceptance. This is one I'm having a trouble battling with. And, I get it. People like to say this is for the best, better now than down the road, all that other stuff. And I get it. I know what everybody's trying to say and everybody's trying to do, but it still sucks. It's embarrassing. It's just, I don't understand how a person can push to be married like she did, and now she's pushing to be divorced in such a short period of time. And I don't understand it. I just don't. Date of separation. The parties cohabitated together as husband and wife until their final separation on or about March 29th, 2019. January 9th to March 29th. Like, what am I supposed to do with that? How does that happen? And I know people say, like, well, people change. Like, how do you change in that short period of time? How do you go from 3 solid years of, I want to be with you, and then right around the 3rd year of us being together, you're really pushing for us to get married, and then less than 90 days later, you're pushing to get divorced? And then I read this part here, grounds, and it just simply states that the marriage of the parties is irretrievably broken. And just to see that so simplified, it just sucks. I have 2 documents in the court system of where I live that just do not define the situation at all. I have this one saying that the marriage of the parties is irretrievably broken. And, like, I want it to say, no, like, the grounds are because she lost her damn mind and chose to go chase after a married guy who owns a damn shoe store, because somehow owning a shoe store makes you somebody over somebody who's in the profession that I'm in. And then the children part. There are no minor or dependent children common to both parties, and the wife is not pregnant. And while that is true in the legal sense, it sucks because I've helped her raise her son for the last 3 years, and she's helped me raise mine. And I was told that I can love her son like my own because she wasn't going anywhere. And I was told that she's going to love my son like her own because she wasn't going anywhere. And now I have a divorce paper that says there are no minor children that are dependent that are common to both parties. And I've had conversation with somebody recently who told me not to make such a big deal out of it, that divorces happen and kids are kids. And it's just nails on a chalkboard still to me. Because you can't tell that to them. You can't tell them that they're not brothers. You can't tell them not to miss them and to have that hole in their heart that I'm still trying to find healing. And Landon and I went to a water park this past weekend and to Universal Studios, and it was bittersweet because I loved hanging out with Landon, but I missed her son. I miss him a whole lot. And it just sucks. It just sucks. Wherefore, petitioner wife respectfully requests that the honorable court award wife the relief sought herein and dissolve the marriage of the parties. I just, again, you push to be married, and now you're pushing to. You're wanting to award the wife. You want to be awarded the relief sought herein to dissolve the marriage that you pushed for. And so I have to get over it, right? That's what I have to do. That's what I have to work on. I have to get over it. And to make today a little bit more comical, Facebook decided to suggest Juan to be my friend. Thanks, Facebook. You're awesome. So another part that was hard this past week. So maybe I guess I do have more updates than I thought. One, Landon got his scores back for his, I think they're called FSAs. It's basically a standardized test here in Florida for the kids to take. You know, every state has them. And Landon's always struggled with math, and he scored really, really high on his math. A large part because, you know, Jen helped him out a lot, and she pushed to get tutoring, and she set up tutoring, and, you know, we got him, you know, the medications that he needed for his ADHD, and we worked really hard with him this year to get his math scores up, and he scores really well, and he's super proud of himself, and it was awesome, and it's just, she's not there to celebrate that. She's not there to tell him that she's proud of him, that she's not there for him to show her, look at what I did, look at how awesome I did, look how much I've improved, look how well I'm doing. And I'll forever never understand why anybody doesn't want to see that through. Why you spend time with a kid and having that relationship with them just to disappear for some other guy and for your pride and your shame and your ego. It just makes no sense. The other hard part was I was trying to get my medications, and the pharmacy that I go to, I went to several of them, different locations, and they didn't have it. So I went to a different kind of pharmacy. They needed my insurance information. My insurance is through hers right now until we get divorced. And I didn't have the prescription card information that I needed, so they tried to run it without it. Wouldn't go through. And the lady's just asking me questions about Jen, and my anxiety was going up. And then finally, she says, why don't you just call your wife and get that information from her? And I just, at that point, my anxiety was through the roof because I can't tell this woman, I'm sorry, I can't call my wife. She's probably blocked my phone number because she filed a false domestic violence injunction against me. And because she lost, she's blocked me and she's blocked anybody that's associated with me, either on Facebook or through phone messages or whatever. Instead, I just said, you know what, I'm just going to go back to my other pharmacy. Can I please have my script back? And I just left. And I found myself an empty aisle, and I had to calm myself down. And then the other bad part is I was at Target, and my son's karate instructor was there. And Landon saw him. He's like, Daddy, there's our karate instructor. And I saw him, and I hid. Because I know what he's going to ask. He's going to ask if we're still coming back or if Landon's doing karate. And I can't tell him that, no, we're not coming back because Jen decided to file a false domestic violence injunction, and she put your studio or your class or your karate school as one of the places that I'm not allowed to be at. And so I will forever have anxiety going there and fear of running into her and then fear of what she'll say. And I know, what you're thinking, well, just lie to him or just tell him he's not interested in, but it's just the thoughts will be there, the emotions will be there, the the thoughts of like what the real answer is will be there, and my anxiety will go. So I just avoided him. That's what my life is now, is just avoiding people so I don't have to explain to them why I had a false domestic violence injunction filed against me, because they remind me of it. And then Sunday I had to go over to that side of town to my other pharmacy because for whatever reason my doctor's office can't get it right, and they keep sending it to my old one. And the whole time I'm just in this anxious mess, traveling around where I used to live, going to stores that I used to go to all the time, fear of running into her. That's my life right now because of her, is I can't go around the area that I used to call home and feel safe. I can't go around there and feel normal. Because even though the domestic violence injunction that was completely false was dismissed by the judge, it's still there in my mind because the lie was there and the lie was told. And if I run into her, I'm going to be reminded of that lie. And then I'm also going to be fearful of what she will say or do next if she sees me. Because now I have no idea what extent she's going to go to make my life a living hell, because I stood up for myself and my traumas and my pain, because I called her out, because I shared my story, and she didn't like the truth being heard by you guys. And somehow, like, this is what sucks, is that somehow I'm the one receiving all of the punishment for her bad deeds. And in my mind, she just gets away with it because she gets to lie to herself. And she gets to have friends that buy her lie and support her in her lies and tell her it's okay, or just go about life normal. Like it's okay to do all the things that she did to me. And I get to drive around town with anxiety attacks, wondering who's the next person I'm going to run into that's going to ask why I can't come to where they're at, or why I can't go visit friends on that side of town because I'm fearful of running into them or running into her. So these are just things that I need to heal and work on and get over. And that's what I just keep thinking at this point, that's what all of you guys are thinking, that everybody's thinking now. Like, Chris, get over it. It's over. You know, grab yourself by the bootstraps or whatever it is and pull yourself up and get over it. Stop making it a big deal. I don't know how to not make it a big deal. Other than just continue my therapy and continue sharing on the show and continue doing EMDR and continue, I guess, going to divorce support groups and working out and, I don't know, helping others, loving others, loving myself, I guess. So speaking of EMDR, I'll just get to that now. It's going to be difficult because we covered my sexual abuse again in the EMDR, and I can't go into specifics right now about some of the things that I realized. So, unfortunately, there are so many parallels between my relationship with that person and my relationship with Jen that did come to light for me tonight or today. And one of the realizations is that in my relationship with Jen, I really loved her, and I still do. I'm not going to lie. Unlike her, I don't know how to turn that off. I don't know how to say I do 7 months ago and then now in July be like, I'm sorry, I don't love you anymore, even with all the crap she put me through. But yeah, I'm still the idiot that still loves her, still cares about her, still tries to talk her down from, I don't know, just listen to episode 14. I'm not going to rehash. And so what I've done in all of these relationships that have caused me trauma, and all of my relationships really, and it started off with my dad and everything, is just I chase people. I chase people that I want to love me back. And in relationships, I don't necessarily lose my identity. I still, for the most part, stick to who I am. Like, I still watch football. I still play video games. I still tell my dad jokes. Like, I don't necessarily lose my identity like some people do, but I do love and support that person. I take up their interests. I look into their interests. I've read Harry Potter because Landon's mom liked Harry Potter. I had no interest in reading Harry Potter, but she liked it, so I read it. While I am a runner, and I do have an announcement for running later on, I wasn't a runner before I met Jen, but Jen ran. And so I wanted to support her. I wanted to be involved in her interests. I wanted to be a part of the biggest thing in her life. And so I did from time to time. I didn't do it all the time. I didn't do it as much as I would assume she would like to. But the reality is when I did run with her, I didn't run with her. She ran with her friends. It's just the way it was. My first marathon, she ran with her friends. She didn't run with me. My first half marathon, she didn't run with me because she got sick for a certain reason that I won't bring up. I would watch, when it comes to picking out movies, I'd pick out movies that she wants to watch. Whatever it was that she was into, whatever it was that she wanted to do, I just did it wholeheartedly. And that's what I've done with all of the relationships of people who bring me trauma. And the other part that I realize is that those people don't reciprocate that. They don't show interest in my interests. They don't go out of their way to do the things that I want to do. They don't bend over backwards to make it happen. They don't tell me or try to get to know me and what my interests are and why it interests me and get to know me on a deeper level. It's just me doing what they want to do and me sharing their interests and me diving into what they like to do. And it just doesn't get reciprocated. And then, just like all of them, all three of my traumas, the three people, the big three, I'll call them, once they are done using me, the way that they used me, the relationship is over. It's distant. It's done. It's not the same. It's me chasing them. It's me wondering what I did. Like, I did everything you asked me to. I did everything you wanted me to. I did everything that you said you wanted from me, and you used me, and now I'm the one chasing you. You're the one who left. You're the one who keeps me at a distance. Like, I don't bring up all the things that I do for Jen or did do for Jen to try to make myself look better. I bring it up because it's part of my difficulty trying to understand how this could happen to me and how any woman can do this to a man like this for the reasons that she did it. I'm always the person that knows that those who treat you well and are good to you, you do whatever you can to do right by them. And when you don't do right by them, you do whatever you can to apologize and make it right. That's just how I am. And so, like, when I mentioned that I ran this, team race of 50 miles, 25 each, was more like I did like 22 to 24, depending on the race, and then she did the rest. But I still ran it. I ran the marathons. I ran the half marathons. I ran the Ragnar races in the woods late at night, early in the morning. I went to surprise her when she was doing her team race, the 2-person team race for Ragnar, being the first 2 females. I gave her massages all the time. Not like as much as like I guess she would want it to, but way more than most men give their girlfriend or wives massages, and way more than she gave them to me. And I'm not talking like, oh, here's a shoulder rub. I'm talking, I bought a massage table, and it was like hour-long, full-body massages. No funny business. Just a massage. Okay, maybe some funny business, but I digress. I just took care of her. I took care of her son. Was it perfect? No. Did her son annoy me? Of course he did. Kids are a pain in the ass. Both of our kids annoyed me. Both of our kids together annoyed me. That's what they do. They're a pain in the ass. And so sometimes you lose your patience with them. But at the end of the day, like, I treated her son well, I treated her well. And I don't understand why you treat somebody who does all of that for you and then some. I don't understand how you treat that person like that, or why when another guy comes around and you're left with the choice of keeping the person who's been nothing but good to you your entire 3 years of existence, the last 3 years, and just some guy you just met who means absolutely nothing to you. Why you choose to keep that guy in your life and let the other person walk away. But I guess, like, her use for me was done. She said she settled. I guess she no longer needed me for whatever it was that she was settling for. Whatever it was that she needed from me, whatever it was that I gave her the last 3 years, I guess that use was done. And when that use is done, they're done. And that's the way it is with all of them. All 3 of the people who caused me trauma, that when their use for me is done, so is the relationship. And that's the realization I came to. And their excuse is always the same. Or at least the excuse that I'm told by other people, that I'm supposed to just understand that it's their trauma, it's their shame, it's their guilt, they're not right in the head, or whatever it is. You know, like, it's not you, it's them. And I don't understand why I can fight through the BS that they put me through to try to mend the bridge and try to have the relationship and friendship and love and care that I want from them. And yet I'm supposed to excuse them for not doing the same for me. It's funny that we as a society, we spend so much time telling people who are in my boat to love yourself and to understand their perspective and to understand where they're coming from. And nobody tells the people who hurt the other person the same thing. Nobody tells them that. Nobody is in Jen's ear and saying, dude, like, do you understand, like, what you put Chris through? Like, can you not see how that's messed up? He was good to you. And you need to see his perspective as to why he made the podcast, why he was so up and down, why he was suicidal on April 6th. Like, you need to understand that your negative actions and your BS caused all of that. And you should understand where he's coming from. And maybe there was a coworker at one point that told her to listen to the Regrets episode, and that's what led to Jen's, apology back in May. And I appreciate that coworker. I don't know if that coworker is still listening. I really do appreciate you coming in my corner and having that conversation with her. I don't know if you still listen. I don't know where you're at now. I don't know anything. I just know that it sucks that everybody tells the victim to understand the perpetrator, I guess, for lack of better words. And to see their side and to know that it's not you, it's them. Well, when are they going to realize that it's not me, it's them? When are they going to fight through their BS to show me that I matter and that I'm worth something? To where I'm not just the only person chasing. To where I'm not the only person willing to do whatever it takes to have a relationship reestablished with them. And with Jen, I'm not talking about a marriage or being back together romantically. I'm just talking about being back to the form where, like, damn it, you married me 7 months ago and told me you love me and care about me. And now, 5 months later in May, you're telling me you don't love me at all and that you don't want to have anything to do with me in your life. And then you're doubling down by filing false domestic violence injunctions. And I mean, the biggest ordeal with my trauma is just I'm tired of feeling used. I'm tired of being used. And then when you're done using me, you can't even give me a thanks a lot. Appreciate what you did for me. No, instead it's just, let me continue to distance myself and make you chase me and make me treat you like crap. Let me continue to lash out at you and let me continue to tell you to understand where I'm coming from. I'm supposed to think about Juan's employees. I'm supposed to think about her and her running career and her running friends. I'm supposed to think about this. I'm supposed to think about that. Who the hell is thinking about me? And I'm sorry, but if we're going to live in a society where we say, yeah, I know I said I love you forever and I'm always going to be there for you, but people change, then can we just stop telling people that BS? Like, if we're just going to allow people to just say, well, I changed, so I don't have to mean what I said 6 months ago, a year ago, 10 years ago. Let's just stop saying it and just say, I promise to be with you until I change. And then who knows if or when that's going to happen. Let's just say that to each other, okay? Let's just get rid of the games and get rid of the BS and stop telling people what we think we need to say when we're in a relationship. If we're not going to mean it, if we're not going to try to see it through, if we're not going to be committed to it, and at the very least, try to get some flipping help when things go awry and things go stale and things go amiss, then just don't say that crap to people anymore. I'm so tired of hearing that. Well, people change. Jen told me that. Well, I guess I just changed. So I'm sorry I said that I wanted to be with you forever and ever for these last 3 years, but it took me a week to realize, and a fucking douchebag who owns a damn shoe store to make me realize I'm not happy with you. And so let me get back to the EMDR. I'm sorry. So I really focused on the fact that I did everything I did because I wanted to be noticed. Somebody paid attention to me. My dad didn't pay attention to me. My sister didn't pay attention to me. Somebody was paying attention to me. Somebody admired, somebody looked up to. And so, I did lots of things. And then once that use for me was done, it was done. And part of the EMDR, what the therapist has me do is to focus on 6-year-old Chris America. And I've been able to do that mentally with this EMDR. And I spent some time towards the end of the EMDR telling little 6-year-old Chris that I love him and that he is a really, really good kid and he has a really big heart and he's handled everything. He's handled everything that a 6-year-old shouldn't have to handle better than anybody could expect him to, and that I notice him, and I'm interested in him, and I'm interested in what he likes and what he doesn't like, and I'm interested in why he likes it, and I told him that it's cool that he likes these things, and that I think they're cool too, and I just kept telling him that I love him, and that no matter what, he does have worth, and no matter how often he gets used, to continue to love with the big heart that he has, to continue to be the good kid that he is, and then I told him that I'm sorry for taking 30 years to come get him and help him. That I'm sorry it took me so long to be there for him and to help him understand what happened, why it happened, and to just be there for him. I'm sorry I neglected him. I'm sorry I kept him away, but I was too scared. And I didn't know how to care for him. And I didn't know how to deal with it. And so I just kept ignoring him and just kept pushing him away. And so I hugged him, and he told me it was okay, that we're doing it now, and that he's glad that I'm here, and he's glad that I'm doing it, and that I'm here to help him and love him. And I told him that he's the best kid ever, and telling him I love him just helped me find my self-worth. But now that I'm out of it, like, just thinking about it, I still feel fear. I still feel like I'm not strong enough. I'm not strong enough for 6-year-old Chris America. I'm not even strong enough for 35-year-old Chris America going on 36. I'm not strong enough to make a marriage last more than 3 months. But I'm going to continue for him, and I'm going to try to figure it out, because he needs me to, and I need me to. I don't know what it looks like. I don't know how long it's going to take. I don't know how long it's going to take to turn the power back on. I don't know how long it's going to take to get the tree limbs off the roof. I don't know how long it's going to take for the flooding to reside. I don't know how long it's going to take to get the roof repaired and the structural damage repaired. I don't know how long the insurance company is going to take to reimburse me the money, or how long the tree guy is going to take to get out there. I don't know. But I have to start doing something. And I just have to keep going and pressing forward. Because honestly, right now, I'm like Iroh and Aang in the dark tunnel. I don't see the end of the light. I feel like it's never going to come. I don't know how to move on. I don't know how to forgive any of them on my own without them asking for it. I don't know how to find self-worth when those 3 people are there to just always be in the back of my mind to remind me that I'm worthless. To remind me that I'm not worth waiting for, like Jen said. You know what's crazy is, like, I have all these little traumas now with her. And one of them is when I wash a pan that I just made eggs off of, I, like, scrub it inside out, like, religiously. It's almost like an OCD thing, because that was one of the things that she threw in my face about why we were splitting up. It's because I'm a mess. And I'm a mess because I don't wash a pan completely. And so I make eggs every morning, and every morning I scrub a pan vigorously inside and out, because I'm worthless if that pan's not clean. And how stupid does that sound coming out of my mouth? But it's there, because I was told it. And when I'm telling her, like, I'll do better, I'm getting therapy now. I figured out that it's depression, and, like, I can do better. It's, no, you're not worth the wait. I don't want to wait 3 months or a year or even 2 weeks. Now she would have a clean pan every effing day, because I scrubbed the hell out of a pan vigorously, because in my mind, I lost my marriage because I couldn't clean a flipping pan the whole way. So just get over it, right? She's all the nasty names you can think of. The end. Just get over it. I know one day I will. And I'm going to do everything I can to heal. But right now I'm in kind of a limbo, I guess. And I guess I'll just keep recording. And those who want to show up to support me and tell me they notice me and help me rebuild, or watch me rebuild, or encourage me to continue to rebuilding and doing all the things necessary to deal with the hurricane damage, I really, 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 honestly, I do appreciate you. I don't know if I can say it enough. Because like I said, I don't understand how Jen can just throw away somebody who was there for her and cared for her the way that I did. I don't have it in me to do that. All I know how to do is appreciate all of you. And it's why I want you to reach out to me, because I don't know who those hundreds of people are. I don't know. I know some of them, and I tell all of them that I appreciate them, but I want to tell all of you that I appreciate you listening. That when I see the numbers go up and up and up over the last 3 months, for the most part, yes, I told you that some of them were down, but I'm just saying comparatively speaking, they're down compared to those 2 episodes, but they do continue to rise, and I do continue to appreciate everybody who supports me. And if you reach out to me, email me at battleinsidepodcast@scoutteamradio.com, battleinsidepodcast, all one word, battleinsidepodcast@scoutteamradio.com. You can email me there, or you can hit me up on Twitter at @TheChrisAmerica, or at BattleInsidePod on Twitter. And so I decided again last week that I needed another positive thing to focus on. Like, I started this podcast to give me something positive to focus on. And after the latest hurricane of the false domestic violence report or injunction, I needed another positive thing to focus on. And so I needed something more that was outside of myself again. And so what I decided to do is kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Those who listen to this know that I have, fair or unfair, I have animosity towards the running community. I know not everybody in the running community is involved. I know that not everybody in the running community knows what happened. I know that it's a very, very minute bit of people who know what happened. But like I mentioned in the last episode, it's hard to know who's looking at me that just doesn't know anything, who's looking at me knowing what Jen did and supports her for doing it, and who's looking at me and supports me for how I'm handling this and everything else, or who's kind of in between, where they just think we're both a-holes. I don't know. But those who know what happened and still support her, I don't know who they are, but I know that if I know who they are, I can't look them in the eye. I just can't. I don't know if that's right, wrong, or indifferent that I feel that way, but it's just, I don't know how you can be friends with somebody who's done all the things that she's done and not say anything to her. Because again, like, we all have this attitude, sometimes myself included, of if it's not your business, you don't care. But the second that it happens to you, then all of a sudden you wonder why nobody cares about you. So give to others what you want from them. And if she can do it to her husband that she was with for 3 years and was good to her son, she can do it to any one of you listening. Any one of you, until she gets help. But I digress. So to help me get back into the running community and to focus on something positive, I decided that sometime in October, November, I still got to find a 5K. I'm going to run a 5K, and I'm going to do it in 22 minutes. I ran a mile last week on July 4th. I needed to run a 7:03 pace, a 7:03 minute per mile to get 22 minutes on a 5K. So I wanted to see if I could at least run 1 mile at that, and I ran 1 mile at 6:46. Not too bad for somebody who's not a runner. They're a good friend of Jen, who told her that she needed to be with a runner. 6 minutes and 46 seconds was my mile time without any training or anything like that. And then today, I was like, okay, let me see if I can hit 22 minutes on 3 miles. I needed to run a 7:20 pace. I ran a 7:28 pace, and I ran it in 22 minutes and 27 seconds. Not too shabby, again, for somebody who's a non-runner, according to her friend, and not too shabby for somebody who hasn't trained in a while. And it was also 92% humidity and 87 degrees at 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning today in Florida. It was miserable. I also have a head cold. I don't know if you could tell. So that didn't help with the matters. But anyways, so I want to run 22-minute 5K, but I don't want to start there. The reason why it's 22 minutes is because 22 veterans, unfortunately, take their lives due to their battles with PTSD and mental health and the lack of support for veterans in that sense. We have it so bad to where veterans are lighting themselves on fire outside of VAs, which is just horrific. And I'm not going to stop there. I want to raise money. I want to raise $2,200. And I'm working with getting an organization in line now and how they want me to work the donations. But once I get that all set and all those ducks in a row, I want to have everybody donate in multiples of 22. So if you want to make a minimum donation, please make it $22. If you want to make, a $60 donation, make it $66 for 3 days of lives that were lost. And hopefully we get up to $2,200 money raised. And then I also don't want to stop there. I want to get with somebody who can make me T-shirts. And my idea with the shirts is hopefully I can reach enough families and veterans, either those who are currently battling PTSD or their mental health issues, and they would like their story to be heard. They would like to be noticed, that instead of just being a statistic, that they're a name, and not just a name, but they're a story. I would love to read their stories on the show, to where it's not just about me, that, like I said, we can either hear about the car accident or we can see it live in person and have it affect us, and that's what I want. When you just hear that 22 veterans take their lives every day, it impacts you. But if I gave you 22 men and women and told you their story, it would stick with you forever, and that's what I'm hoping to do. And so on the shirts, I want to have the number 22 on the back, like a jersey number, and then the name of either somebody who's currently battling PTSD or a family member who lost a loved one, have their family member who lost their battle to PTSD or mental health with their names, and then have a link to the site to where their story is there, to where you can not only hear it here on the show when I read it, but also you can read it anytime you want. And their story is there. It's being told. Their memory is not forgotten. Because, again, I think that's the best way for me to raise awareness, and my personal opinion is to tell the story rather than just share the numbers and statistics. We don't connect with numbers. We connect with people. That's just how we are. That's the species that we are. And so I'm trying to look for a T-shirt company to help me out with that. And if I had my druthers, I would like for them to donate 22% of the proceeds from the shirt sales to the charity of the organization that I'm working on getting. So look for more updates on that. I'm really excited about it. I'm going to kick ass and take some names. I'm ready to prove that not only am I a runner, but I'm a runner with a purpose. I'm not just some douchebag who owns a running store and just runs for fun so he can pick up other married women and things of that sort. Sorry. Just kind of where I'm at right now, and I know it's not healthy, but I'm working on it. But I also just want to focus on something positive more than just that. That's just the negative side that's there. I'm sorry it's there. Again, working on it. But the overwhelming thought is just, I want to prove to the running community that I'm a great guy, and I want to get back into running, and I need to just focus on something that's beyond myself, so I'm not focusing on the people who are there, and I'm not wondering with my paranoia and my anxiety what they're thinking about me. And so if I'm there focused on that, my also hope is that all of you who live in the Central Florida area will buy the shirts, will come out. You don't have to run the 22 minutes. You don't even have to run the race. Just come out and support me, cheer me on. If you do run the race, we can all run together. Again, you don't have to run the 22 minutes, but you can just be there in numbers of just showing me the support that I need. Not only just support for me, but support for this cause, support for the men and women who were left behind once they got out of the service. And I don't mean to get political, but that's just what happened. That's just the reality of the situation and why it's so bad. And we need to do whatever we can to get them help. I know that I have a couple of military friends that have shared this show with them, and like I said, I don't compare my traumas to theirs. So I don't even pretend to know what it's like. But I do want to help. I do want to spread awareness. I do want to share their story, and I want to do what I can. So the best way I know how to get over things is to give back. It's just how I am. I need to focus on more than just myself. I need to focus on the world around me, and to help me realize that I am worth something, and I'm somebody who has a great heart and who has a good mind. Might not be a sound mind all the time, but I do think I have a good mind and a good heart. And I do love myself, as hard as that is to say. But anyways, I got to wrap the show up. And, of course, per the usual, I don't have the websites up. But if you go to suicide.org, That's if you're not in the United States. Suicide.org, go to the third of the page, and you'll find links to get you some your national suicide prevention hotlines in your country. Or you can call 1-800 if you are in the U.S., 1-800-273-8255, 1-800-273-8255. That's the National Suicide Hotline if you are feeling suicidal. Or you can text HOME to 741-741, HOME 741-741. Or like I said, you can email me. I'm not an expert. I should have said this way long ago, but I'm not an expert. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychiatrist, psychologist, life counselor, life coach, or crisis counselor. I'm just a guy. I'm a jag. But I can listen. I'm really good at listening. I'm really good at commiserating. I'm really good at showing empathy and support and just letting you know that I'm here and I hear you and I understand your pain. Or at least I'm going to try. And then I'm going to help encourage you to go find that help you need, that psychiatrist, that psychologist, that life coach, whatever you need. Even if you're not suicidal, and you're all these things that we talk about, infidelity, you're an alcoholic, you're a gambler, you have traumas, you're going through a hard time with divorce like I am, whatever it is, you don't need to be suicidal to look for help. You don't need to wait till you're there. That's what I did. I just always wait until I'm at the extreme, and then I go get help, and then I get out of the extreme, and then I don't get help anymore, and then I'm just back to square one. It's okay to get help, and it's okay to not be okay. So get help, please. Reach out. Don't take 30 years like I did to work on your stuff. So yeah, that's it. That's the rest of my show. Hopefully you guys liked it. Now I got to pull up my music. Excuse me while I snort into the mic like a madman because I'm sick. So yeah, hopefully I can be there for my 6-year-old me. Hopefully I can be there for you and continue to encourage you. I'm trying, guys. Doing what I can. One day at a time, right? Anyways, enjoy the rest of your day. Peace.